Why is Diana Ankudinova's performance of Into the Sky awesome? Hi, I'm Dr. Mark, and I'm going to help you sing and perform more like the top artists around the world. I'm a professional voice teacher, performance coach, and opera stage director. I've helped thousands of singers around the world learn the techniques and methods that got the top singers to where they are. Thank you to all the viewers who reminded me that this went up and that this was here and that they wanted to have me react to it. I'm excited to look at it and finally get to watch it today. It's been really busy the past few weeks, and so I'm excited to finally get to just sit here and enjoy what she's doing here and hopefully share with you some things that I think make this awesome. Of course, it's a live video rather than a live performance. There's a reason why we've been doing music videos instead of live performances. Obviously with COVID, there's not as many live performances going on, so we're kind of going with these videos a little bit more frequently, which is cool because it lets us talk about the storytelling. So let's jump into it and see what we got. Okay, there's a few things going on. Let's talk about what we're hearing first. So she's starting with kind of an aspirate tone, a little bit of breathiness, but the airflow is staying consistent. She's staying open, relaxed. We hear that nice shimmery vibrato come out at the end. And it's really nice because it carries us from what's going on in the music, has this organic kind of transfer in with this kind of humming, kind of sighing type of sound that gently then eases transition into words. That's really indicative of what's going on emotionally. We're having these subtle emotional changes. Why? Think about it in everyday life. If we go from thinking to making some kind of noise like, I don't know, that is kind of a pre-thought, a pre-verbalization thing where the emotion was raised enough to then want to get us to verbalize it, but it's not quite there yet. And then verbalization is that we have to come to this level of energy, awareness, and engagement to be able to deliver text. Music underneath that adds weight. So it's kind of like an emotional volume raiser where all the emotions are heightened with that music underneath it. So really, really cool that she's smoothly taking us through there with what she's doing vocally. And she's just keeping it easy and really pleasant, right? It matches what we're seeing. What we're seeing is this gorgeous outdoor setting, which makes sense if we're talking about a song called Into the Sky. It also is green and peaceful and calm and pretty and nice, right? Love it. Totally pleasant. Her white blouse matches the trees, puts us in the same world. Her red skirt makes her pop out from the background, red being the contrasting color to green. Let's see what else we got. See that upper two smile?
Мне бы да успеть сердце отогреть, синей птице в небо улететь, в небо улететь.
Okay, you're noticing here as it goes on, the music got more intense and her movement got more intense. Now, being Diana, she plays relatively big and very expressive. And that's a great thing. She pulls it off beautifully and it's really expressive. So this is actually a really great study in how to not try to undersell your gestures, but to be big and confident and to express yourself and not hold back. And so I love it. I think it's a really great way to show that she's letting her hands talk. She's not trying to choreograph a ton, but she's really letting herself go there. And that's exciting. The other thing we're seeing here are a few close-ups of her hands. If I spoke the language better, I probably have a better idea what's going on here. But, and as I'm watching this, I'm noticing that the hands and how they're being used and placed are really, it's beautiful, right? And it's beautiful because they aren't rigid, they aren't stiff, they're flexible, they're able to move, and we don't have this rigid kind of bear claw thing going on, right? It's just nice and comfortable. That's really important because when we start performing, a lot of times we see this bear claw thing start to come out. And we start to gesture like this or something like that. And that's not what we want most of the time either. Unless the character is supposed to be super stressed or upset or something, then maybe we'll buy it. But for most part, if it's not super stressed and they're supposed to look confident and relaxed or calm or in control, then these hands need to stay relatively relaxed and flexible and able to move and do what they got to do as well. So, cool.
В небо улетит синей птицей вдаль, утолит печаль до зари гореть, до зари гореть.
Love how big that is. Love it.
Знаю точно я, там любовь моя, ждет она меня на излете дня.
Okay, so it's really interesting. Now, we're getting this white dress, and this white dress is a bit more formal, a bit higher class, right? We wouldn't expect someone to walk through the forest in a white dress. This works and is really cool because she set up this view of the beginning of in the forest and clothes that we might expect someone to walk through a forest through that look nice, but not this white dress, right? What this then suggests is that we have change in time, so meaning that this song then either becomes a memory or a projection into the future, right? And white, because it's so pure, it suggests purity, it suggests possibly death, because angels, ghosts, that type of thing are also in white. So it's a really symbolic color, especially when it's pure white. There's nothing else with it. And so when we're watching this visually, we have this subconscious response that this is somewhere else, some other time, potentially memory or daydream, and not reality. When we pop back to her and she's got that red skirt on, it feels more like real life. It's a really cool way to develop the song and keep the audience engaged and to be telling the story. Love it.
И как в юности там идут дожди, летние дожди. Господи, прости, в сердце тает лед, догорит заря. Когда я вернусь, ты прости меня. Мне бы да успеть сердце отогреть, синей птицей в небо улететь, в небо улететь. В небо улететь, синей птицей вдаль, утолить печаль до зари гореть, до зари гореть.
Okay, then we have this other dress too, right? She looks a little more mature in that dress. So is that projecting into the future again? I don't know. Really interesting. But again, it's more a reality, real dress. And the white dress suggests something else, right? Kind of a metaphor or a projection or something else. So cool. What we're hearing vocally and what's going on is you're noticing this upper tooth smile that's there all the time, right? It's there all the time. It's helping keep that sound forward, even though it's really rounded and warm in the back. So the shape in the back that she's using is a little more of this type of feeling. If she was just using that, it'd probably start getting heavy and a little fatigued and tired. But because she's keeping this forward stretch and this upper tooth smile, it's keeping it light, letting the right muscles engage, creating a balance that is negotiable, especially as she goes up higher. She keeps lots of air going through it, keeps it kind of on the breathy side. And so it doesn't really have a chance to get overly heavy for her, which is really important for a song like this. You're talking about the sky or anything like that, you don't want it to sound heavy, right? Unless you're talking about heavy clouds in the sky or something, but still, right? So it's working really well, the colors that she's choosing with her voice and how to sing this with the subject matter. So love it. Constantly moving, big hands, big gestures.
Господи, прости. Господи, прости.
Okay, so she's shooting on site, right? She's shooting in this forest and in these places. She's not in a studio with a green screen or something like that. She's shooting on site. So if you're trying to plan out what props to use, what clothes to wear, this is a really good study in that you notice that, like we talked about before, her blouse here is tying in with the trees and nature around her. The red makes her pop out. She doesn't just use this red once. It comes back with the roses, right? This other dress is also kind of earth tone dresses, ties her into the nature around her. And it's used very infrequently so far in that it only cuts to it every once in a while. For the most part, we're living here in the white and red or in just the white. And so it makes it tie into the visual world, both with the background and her clothes. And so it feels like it all belongs and it feels put together and like it's on purpose and deliberate, rather than it's just a happy mistake where you caught her outside one day, right? And that's always the tricky balance to find, is how to make it so it all reads together so well aesthetically without making us pay attention to the aesthetics particularly. We don't be like, oh, that's really interesting that we have a shirt and dress and it's matching the background. Most audience members, the goal is not to have you notice that, right? We're noticing because we're talking about it, and that's part of what I do, and my job is to notice those things and to make sure that they're working together. And so in this case, it seems really organic. It seems like it works together really well, is natural, wouldn't draw my attention to it and look like it was overly done or overly planned out, but it's enough where it seems like it has this magical quality where the entire world is working together to communicate the same thing, which is what we want when we're performing. Love it.
Небо улетит, синие птицы вдаль, утолит печаль до зари гореть, до зари гореть.
Oh my gosh, you see that gesture? See her eyes go, then her head go, then her shoulders go. That's also like a study for gesturing. Our body goes in order from our eyes to our face to turning shoulder, torso, neck, hands, lower torso, legs, feet, then we walk. What looks unnatural is when we skip that in any realm, or when it all goes together at the same time. That's not happening here. You notice how organic, natural, and comfortable it looks? It looks gorgeous because it looks natural. And that's really hard to do when you're singing and performing, or when you have a camera in your face. Knowing that that pattern exists, knowing that we want to let it go in that order, can help us still look natural, even if we're feeling a little stressed. And one way or the other, this looks great. Okay, so interesting. I would have expected that at the end we'd either come back to the white dress or we'd come back to the white blouse, red skirt. I know I'm making a lot of these clothes, but we didn't. What does that suggest? It suggests, instead of a cyclical thing where we kind of come back to the beginning with new information and a new understanding, that this story is a progression. It's more of a timeline and more linear, so that when we get to the end, she's in a different place than where we started. And that reads really well and really strongly, so that we have different places, different locations, and our brain can kind of put this into a timeline and feel like we've gone somewhere. So love it. Vocally, she kept it really pretty easy, that airflow really consistent. She kept that placement really high and light. She wasn't compressing, pushing, forcing, being tense. She's really letting the air take control in terms of she's just riding that air all the way through the melody instead of trying to push it or force it. And it was gorgeous. Really, really lovely and easy to listen to and really interesting to watch, because she was giving us so much information, even though we're in this forest and there wasn't a ton of crazy stuff going on, right? She wasn't really specifically walking us through a movie kind of story, but there was enough detail and enough change to engage our imagination so we could fill in the blanks of how this woman ends up in this forest, in this garden, in 3 different times of her being around. And so I think it's really cool. Really, really cool. The other thing that I want to point out is with Diana is I mentioned that she plays gestures big, or she can. She isn't all the time. Notice sometimes she can just stand there, relax, and be just fine. One of the ways that she makes these big gestures work is that they don't freeze. It's not like they go there suddenly and hold it and freeze. They're always kind of gently moving and going forward and have a path that isn't stuck or frozen. And that's really helpful in helping us believe that this big gesture is natural and organic to this person. The other thing that's helpful is it doesn't come out of nowhere. It's not and point here to the side and point here. It comes up through her core, through her center, and then out, and then she gestures and it stays flexible. Really, really great way to figure out what to do with these hands. I can't count how many performers I've worked with where they get up to perform and feel like they have no clue what to do with these hands. It can be so tricky. It's the first date syndrome where you become overly aware and then it just becomes awkward. Well, big things you can do is just keep them flexible so they can move and so they aren't rigid, stuck, or frozen. And also give them a path that comes up from the center of your body, the core of your body, where you're feeling those emotions, and then let them go out to whatever you're gesturing towards. As always, love Diana's performance. Comment down below. Tell me what you loved, what you liked, what other performances of hers you think I should be reacting to, and what makes her so awesome. Tell me other people that you want me to react to as well. Don't forget to click like and subscribe. Let me help you find your voice, whether it's as a singer, where I can help you sing easier and be more expressive and more confident and comfortable, or whether it's as a performer and your body language and acting. Let me help you tell the story in a way that looks believable, organic, and natural with that music and makes it fit all together in a way that is believable, organic, and expressive. You can book a lesson with me at foundyourvoice.com. You can also send me a short video or audio clip for me to react to or give you suggestions on Wizio.com. Check it out. Don't be a stranger. See you next time.